Good, thanks, pal. Now then, Paul, you well?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, not bad. Um, yeah, I mean, first things first. How glad just to be at this point then and everything. Obviously going into the new Super League season and everything sorted behind the scenes.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long season already, but yeah, we've trained well. We've had a good pre-season in each other's company. Obviously, the outside noise has been difficult to control, but we're here at the start line, and we're just happy and looking forward to getting started.
What what's the sort of talks with the new owner, the consortium and everything? What's that been like so far? Have you had many discussions with them about what the future's looking like?
Nah, I mean it's been like a day or two, hasn't it? So there's a lot more a lot more important issues than the team. The team's in good shape, so it's not a pressing issue for anyone taking over this business. Um, there's bigger fish to fry in that respect. So my conversations with the ownership group have just been. Yeah, just been low key, if you like, and healthy. But we'll get into the nitty gritty when the time's right.
You know yet about the cap and everything for this weekend? Are you going to be up to full cap, or is that still work in progress?
I'm still waiting confirmation from the RFL on that one, but we'll prepare for a positive outcome, and our strongest team is getting ready to play at St Helens.
Yeah, just last from me on the first game, Saints. Obviously, another team who are looking for a big year, aren't they? After last year, they're disappointing for them finishing sixth. But what are you expecting from them first up?
Well, for so long they've been the benchmark. We've all aspired to be St Helens. St Helens, Wigan. We throw Warrington in the mix there, Catalan even. They've been consistent performers for a long period of time, of both on the field and off the field, and that's no coincidence. That they're well-run businesses who, they have a good foundation of youth, within the club. So St Helens will never be far away from success and we expect to see the St Helens at the best, and focused and motivated to fill that trophy cabinet back up. So yeah, we expect the best of St Helens, which is always an aggressive team and one that likes to play on the front foot. So it's going to be very challenging, and as I always say against Saints, you've got to be ready for a physical battle and be committed in that area.
Was Paul, best luck with the season, mate.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul. Great to see you again.
Hey.
I'd normally ask you ahead of the new season how excited you are, but I guess this time it's how relieved are you? I mean, what have the last few weeks been like? And was there ever serious doubt in your mind that you would actually get to this point where you could start the season?
Oh yeah, a few times. But I think the important bit is when we've had the players in house, so when we've been training or when we've been on camp, then I've always felt super confident within the group that the appetite to stay and remain at this club was always strong. But obviously, the club being able to fulfil their obligations to the players was always the question mark. But it's history now, and we're here. We held firm, and everybody got the job done. So we're just pleased to be where we are.
Yeah, and I'm sure you would rather no one has to go through that sort of doubt of not knowing where they're going to be or whether the paycheck's going to arrive or not. But could this give everyone a lift now? Because after all this period of uncertainty, finally it seems like the club's future is secure. That's got to give everyone around the place a massive boost, hasn't it?
I think more for the fans. I think for the players, they've been consistent in their attitude, in their characters off the field, and they've never wavered. And they'd have been good enough to get contracts elsewhere. However, I think for the fans, the roller coaster, the lack of information, I think the long-suffering Salford fans, have got something to be excited about, and that they can come and support the team, and it's important, all that history and heritage, 150 years of legacy that they get to share the journey with us confidently from starting from this season.
And I know you'll be fully focused on getting the team ready, and that's the job in hand. But in terms of speaking to the new owners, I know you said you haven't had much time to do it yet, but what kind of reassurances have they given you about where the club's heading?
Um, well, the reassurances that the only reassurances that I needed was that we'll get continue to get paid. We've got investment. I would encourage the club to have investment more off the field than on the field. We're all right, and that's what I keep trying to say. That the football department, we're okay. There's only little bits and bats that we have to work hard to get, but there's something about working hard for things and not being given everything on a silver spoon that makes you humble as a group, and that humility will stay. That's part of our culture. That's part of our core values. And yeah, so but what I know for a fact is that the people taking over this club want to grow the business, our footprint, our identity, and that for me is music to my ears.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And you've been able in recent years, excuse me, you've obviously been able to make the playoffs, to make finals, to compete, if you like, with the big clubs and the bigger budgets. Is that part and parcel of the job that you have to accept at Salford, that punching above your weight is kind of something you're going to try and do. You're not going to be, on the same level as a Wigan or a Leeds in terms of what you can spend and what your resources are.
No, that's right. And I think if you pick the 12 Super League clubs, we probably obviously we've not had a benefactor, so we are a country mile behind the very, very wealthy owners of our competitors. There's some incredible wealth bouncing about Super League, of which we've had none of it. So that's reflected in our playing budget, and therefore we've had to overachieve year on year. But we've been good in our recruitment, and we've signed some wonderful players, and we've cultivated a wonderful culture at the club, which has enabled us to be competitive and get near thereabouts the big games at the right end of the year. So yeah, one would hope that as the business grows, like I said, I'll keep talking about the business, that the playing budget, if you like, and resource will grow organically, but the business needs to grow first, and then it's sustainable. Again, we don't want handouts. We want everything to be hard earned, and then we respect it more. And we appreciate what we've got. We've got a humble group, like I said.
And in the more immediate term, will you still have to sell players, or is that done now? Do you know what you've got to go forward?
There's no. I've certainly not had any instructions to sell anybody. So it'll be we'll anybody coming in or going out will be of part of a strategy or part of a selection process like any other club.
St Helens on opening weekend. You obviously had a good win over them in pre-season as well. What are you expecting from them, and can you read anything into that, or does that matter for very little come Saturday?
Yeah, it matters very little. I think is the answer to that. That it won't define them. It didn't define us. Um, we we both played large squads, if you like. We certainly started strong and then brought a lot of different combinations and people on. And so we expect a totally different St Helens side, which will be extremely motivated and some strong characters who's not featured yet for them, who make a considerable difference to their potency both in attack and defence. So we'll have to be 25% better to match the St Helens team. But we felt that we did have some more gears within that friendly and within ourselves. So we're confident, and what I can predict is it'll be a good game.
And just finally from me, top four last season in the playoffs. So much uncertainty. Now you can put that behind you. What's the target this time round?
What do you reckon we'll get?
I mean, the league's so competitive. I'd look like a fool if I say one or the other because it could go either way, couldn't it? That's what I think. But what do you think?
Well, you look like a fool, and then I'll look like a fool.
I don't need any help to look like a fool, Paul.
Well,
But do you set a target, or would you rather keep that private?
we'll try and beat the bookies, and then we'll we'll always back ourselves and try and win a trophy like everybody else will. So we're no different. But to pigeonhole a position, there's so many influences, injuries, a little bit of luck in there, and obviously same with other clubs. So we want to be batting at the top of the division, and competing at the business end of the season. But like I said, we need to beat the bookies first and foremost, which put us down at the other end. So we don't take motivation from that, but it's a good yardstick based on, like you alluded to earlier, resource and cold hard cash. So we'll compete.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we wish you all the best for Saturday and the season ahead.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul. Good to see you. And can I just wish you good luck for the season ahead, as I do to every coach. Last time I looked, your odds with Betfred were 33-1 to win the grand final. So that didn't look a bad bet to me now, especially if you've got a bit of money behind you. But I just wonder, actually, since the announcement, if I know rugby league agents, as I think I probably do, I suspect that one or two of them might be ringing up to ask for, bigger deals for their players, thinking that there's a bit of money behind the club at last. Whereas in the past, you've been able to say very honestly to them that, your money's not at a premium at Salford. I just wonder if that's going to change things in the long term for you.
Well, I think when you say in the past, if we've said very honestly, we've got no more money. I don't think the empathy follows that, and the players would generally at that point be shipped out somewhere else. So, in that respect, I think if we build the club off the field, then we become a more respected club, and a club that more players want to join. I think we've worked really hard over the last 3 and 4 years to establish ourselves as a club where people come, showcase the best of themselves, playing a team that is pleasing on the eye and relatively successful. So we work hard, and people enjoy themselves here, and so yeah, I don't think we'll be splashing the cash about in the short term, and we'll always, if we had £10 or £100 in our pocket, we'll always be diligent in how we spend that money, and respectful of the pocket that it's coming from. So that's just the way we are.
One thing, though, that it might or would enable you to do, presumably, and obviously I don't know the inside story on how much money will be available to you, but assuming that it will be more than it has been in the past, it would enable you to probably splash out more on marquee players than I suspect you've been able to. I'm not even sure whether you've got players who are marquee players in the sense that, their salary is above that sort of marquee level, but that might arise now that planning for future years, you could probably enter that sort of market.
Yeah, possibly. It's not, again, they're not conversations that we've had. We've not just turned up one day and start looking at the expensive players that we might be able to bring in. We're really comfortable with our squad, and we back our players. So yeah, it's not something that is a topic of conversation at the
Not
minute.
the first item on the agenda at this stage.
No, not just yet. So we just want to get the season up and running, and I think that's for medium long term strategies, and anything like that would need to be of not only on field asset but an off field asset, in unison with the off field to make us a commercially more attractive club in the big city of Salford, and so yeah, that's not a discussion that we're entering into just yet.
No. Can I just ask you, you've mentioned off-field things, and the club needs to gear up off the field as well as on it. I mean, Paul King, I believe, has now departed the club as chief executive. Of course, you've got this young guy, Chris Irwin, I think his name is, who's come in to take over that role. Do you have any thoughts about Paul? Because I've spoken to him quite a lot over the last few months, and I just, I can sort of see how much stress he's been under in terms of trying to pilot this change in ownership, to get it through before the season started. I can only imagine he's had a few sleepless nights, but I believe he's now gone off for a week or two just to sort of de-stress. But do you have any thoughts about him?
Well, I'm of the belief I've not been told that Paul's left the club. If he's gone for give his head a rest, then who could blame him? Like you say, it's been stressful for everybody, and probably Paul more than most. Um, so regarding building off the field, that's growing off the field, not necessarily replacing. I'm alluding to is building the business. So everybody works extremely hard here. It's a family club, as we know, and I think everybody does the job of five people. So just building the business is really important. My thoughts on Paul are that myself and him have had a really good relationship. We've worked really well together. We have some really respectful and almost fun arguments, disagreements along the way, which has been really healthy. But we always come out on the same side together. We're always aligned. And Paul's been good to me. He's been loyal to me, and likewise, like to think I've been loyal to him. So what I'll say is, at this point, he's been in charge of an era of Salford Rugby Club, that's been probably one of the most successful and pleasant eras of Salford's history. So history tells us he's been a man in charge of a club that's been batting at the top end of Super League, challenging for trophies, been in some cup finals. So he's had a remarkable tenure as leader of this club. And I know his father and himself are very, very proud and passionate Salford supporters. So, he can hold his head up high, and whether he stays or leaves, I'm not privy to that. As far as I'm concerned, he's still a part of this club. But yeah, and well, he's got my handshake certainly anytime I see him.
And just on the going beyond the first team at the club, you've put together a lot of other pathways within the club, haven't you? You've been developing the various teams, but some time ago you lost Ian Blease as a director of rugby. I don't know who fulfills that role that he used to have at your club now, but I just wonder whether you'd be hoping, because I dare say some of that burden falls on you personally. I just wonder whether you are hoping that the club will appoint somebody to replace Ian now that the future's more assured, so that they can look after all the other pathways within the club, so it would allow you to focus on the first team, or I suppose, having said that, you're possibly going to fulfill that role at the end of this year when you step aside from the coaching duties.
You're a genius, Martin, because you asked a question and you answered it yourself. So
Yeah.
saves me a job.
So you're not looking for somebody in the interim period for that role?
No, that would be disruptive. We're
Yeah.
very selective about who we bring into our environment. So I think we're capable, and like I said before, I think there's other areas that need to be strengthened. We can spread that between the existing people, and we're comfortable that we've got that covered.
And final point, the RFL at this moment in time, to my knowledge, has not confirmed that your salary cap can, rise from the 1.2 million up to a normal salary cap. They need to confirm that pretty soon, I would think, because obviously, if there is any hiccup in that process, it could be disastrous for you, really, for this weekend.
Well, yeah, but we've come accustomed to dealing with some almighty bumps and potholes in the road. So as it stands, like I said before, we're prepping for a full squad, and we'll just keep doing that until we're told different. And then we'll deal with that problem when it comes, or if it comes.
And just going back to the game itself, to Saints on Saturday, a couple of things about it. One is Lee Breer's assistant coach at St Helens. Are you expecting a bit more variety in Saints attacking play compared to what they might have produced, last year with Lee on board? Because he did a terrific job in Brisbane, particularly not in 2023 when they got to the grand final, and they were a really exciting team to watch. Are you expecting Saints to pull a few rabbits out of the hat on Saturday?
Oh, no doubt. I'm a big fan of Lee. I really enjoyed watching him as a player, and then I'm very pleased that he's gone and had success in Brisbane. So it's a coup for our game to have him back, and so yeah, absolutely. I think he'd be a great addition to any club. So I would expect St Helens to have some different shapes and plays that are going to take us by surprise. But ultimately, St Helens do what they always do. They value the strength of Kerry and the physicality, and like I said before, that's where we've got to be switched on and make sure that we can combat that.
And of course, a couple of points about your fans, who are some of the loudest fans in the game, some of the most enthusiastic fans in my experience. But I dare say a few of them have been holding off buying season tickets recently until the situation was clarified, about the ownership of the club. Do you have a message to them now to sort of come out in numbers? Because your first home game will be against Leeds a week on Saturday, and it would be great to see a crowd a bit like that crowd that turned out for the league game at the end of last season. It'd be great to see you filling your stadium a bit and making progress in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll be honest, I don't think our fans need a rallying call. I think they're on it. I think you'd be a wise man not to part with your money if you think a club's going to go under. So, but there's the club's here to stay, and the fans don't need a push from me. Like you said before, we've got unbelievably loyal supporters, and they'll be here. I don't even need to say anything. They'll be here. I've got no doubt.
And the game's on the BBC Two on Saturday. It's the first BBC game of this year. There might be quite a few. I was speaking to Paul not long ago. There might be quite a few rugby union fans tuning in, thinking it's the third weekend of the Six Nations, which of course it isn't. It's a rest weekend for them. So it'd be a great chance to hook a few people in, hopefully, and who might then be persuaded to come down and watch you live as well.
Well, maybe it's certainly a great game, as we all know. So it's on BBC Two, like you say, and hopefully we get the opportunity to put our best team out against St Helens' best team, and we produce a game worthy of attracting new fans for the great sport that we've got.
Okay, mate. Well, good luck, Paul, and no doubt we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, mate. Bye then.
Right, Paul, you okay?
Hey, Rob.
The off season was a bit stressful. Was it the most stressful of your career?
Well, I don't know. You forget, don't you, sometimes how stressful other periods are. So we just take it as it comes, and we're through it now. So yeah, it was stressful, but onwards and upwards.
Yeah. Do you think the rugby league world underestimated the togetherness and the spirit of the group? Because obviously a lot of talk in the press about players leaving, and also was it tough on you and like your staff as well because of the uncertainty, obviously the human side of it all.
Yeah, the human side, absolutely. I think, yeah, like I've said earlier this week, I think everybody wants to choose their own path and not have it dictated to them. So, yeah, that the thought that we might have been forced into different situations is always uncomfortable because we want to be master of our own destiny. That's the way we work. So, got to say, the majority of the rugby league world were very, very supportive um, and very empathetic and professional about how they went about the business. I think there was some quarters that wanted to take advantage of a vulnerable situation, which I've said many times, and but it's always the old saying, isn't it? Be careful to them on the way up because you'll meet them on the way down. So we'll play the long game.
Yeah. Is the expectation pressure any different now because of the change in the situation that we're in? Do you think?
No, not at all, mate. It's we're still the same. It's from within, never from outside. It's always from within.
Yeah. What does success in 2025 look like to you?
Success for me is as always competing with every team that we play against, making some of our players better when at the end of the season than they were at the start. Enjoying ourselves, and winning a trophy would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you strengthened your squad from 2024, brought in some new faces. Do you have a sort of starting 17 in your head for now, or are you still, torn between players?
Yeah, I'm not far off. We've got some injuries in there as well, so generally dictates itself and works its way out. But there's always a couple of decisions to make, but never too many, if you like. So yeah, I'm not far off. Team that'll line up at the weekend against St Helens.
Yeah, we now have an elite academy, reserves, red development, and scholarship programs running through the club, a pathway from local amateur clubs to the Salford Rugby Club. How does that make you feel? Because obviously you came into the club, your first job was really about sort of development pathways, but to have this structure in place now, you kind of have to accept, it's not going to happen straight away, but it's there for everyone to see.
Yeah, and ironically, the first person I brought in was Chris Irwin because of his connections within the community and his passion for the club. So it's great that he's back in obviously a much more senior role now. So, but yeah, it's important that you give some a pathway for the community, for the youth of Salford and the local community clubs, and there's some aspiration in there, and there's an end game. So it'll take a while. I do believe there's still a few young kids choosing, the clubs outside the area, but they'll soon realise that our badge, the Salford badge, holds as much gravitas as some of our more illustrious neighbours. But we'll have to earn that. But back this club because we'll grow and we'll be big, and the badge will shine bright 100%.
Yeah, and we are the opportunity club, so having pathways, in the community, and also obviously maybe having more of a transfer budget now to go and buy players, it gives you different options on it to bring players in.
Yeah, it's not, it's an opportunity club, but that's not a phrase that we should use for mediocrity. We don't accept mediocrity. Anyone who wears a Salford shirt will have to earn it, and it'll be hard. But what I'll say is, we're a club that have absolutely world-class talent, coaching, representing all our juniors and youngsters. Our infrastructure at the club in such a short space of time is very, very strong. So, yeah, any youngsters that come to us are in very safe hands. And as I always say, two parents and two young players. I think the important thing is for them is the two things: they get opportunity and they get education, and they'll get both of those two things in bucket loads at this club. We'll give a lot of time and attention to everybody. And like I said before, as long as they're learning and getting educated, if they're good enough, then they'll have a career. So stick with your badge, certainly local boys, and aspire to play for Salford Red Devils because this club will grow, and and you'll be paid back for that loyalty.
Yeah. Do we have players who are affected by the amount of minutes they played last year for the start of the season, or does it get reset?
No, I think we're all right. It doesn't get reset, otherwise there'd be no point doing it. So, but I think we're all right, mate.
Good, good. Obviously, big game against Helens on the BBC for Salford coaches going down. It's the kind of game that gets everyone excited and, gets us following this great sport.
Yeah, always travel well to St Helens. The fans are always great. So even the friendly was great. So we expect it again this week. Looking forward to to the occasion. St Helens obviously the opening game, so they've got a bit of something going on there. I would suspect to open their season and campaign with a spectacular show, no doubt. So we want to play our part in that and make sure we perform on the night before we bring it back home to our stadium in front of our own fans.